Welcome everyone to the Extramarks. I warmly welcome all the students to this session. And what a beautiful day, because the paper that we have written for biology is so amazing, as well at the same time it is so interesting and very easy paper. One of the reason why it is very easy, if you have written the mock test which we have conducted from Extramarks, you will see so many questions that have come from the mock test, and also from the live sessions as well as from the homeworks, the assignments which have been conducted. All the questions have come in fact from the very same assignments as well as weekly test and then mock test. The very recent mock test, I hope every one of you have attempted it, right? So this mock test has given us a very strong base for writing the examination. Why? Because many questions have been asked in this board exam also. So my dear students, I wish that each one of you have written the test which is 100%, and I expect that all of you will be getting out, right? So let us explore the paper and let us analyze how easy the paper was. Okay, so let's move ahead and understand about certain basic things about the question paper. So in today's paper, you had two sections, section A and then we had the section B. These two sections, all the questions from this segment in fact were very easy, right? So from section B and then from section A, so the questions which you have got from section A, they were compulsory, and in section B you had 6 questions, out of which you had to just answer 4 out of them, right? And the intended marks have been given in the brackets like this. So based on the marks, you guys had to write the answers, right? So I hope everyone have found it very interesting as well as very it was very easy for all of you to attend. A very easy question paper. Now let's move ahead and discuss the questions. To begin with, the question number 1 what we have. The question is the sex chromosome in a human ovum. Now when we are looking at this term ovum, obviously it is related to the female reproductive system, because this is a female gamete, and we all know that the females contain the perfect chromosome, and obviously the answer out of these 4 options A, B, C and D. Yes, any guesses my dear students? Very easy, very straight away questions. Very good. The correct answer for the question is option A, wherein the X chromosome should be the answer, correct answer. So option A is the correct answer. Moving ahead, let us move towards the next question. So in first segment, that is the major part of question 1, we had 15 multiple choice questions. So first we are going to solve those 15 multiple choice questions, and then we are going to explore the topic. Now, second question, which one of the following is a biodegradable waste? Here again a direct question. Out of the 4 options, metal cans, e-waste, that is electronic waste, and then we have got plastic and flowers. Again very straight options have been given. Very simple question. Obviously the answer should be option D, flowers, because these are the biodegradable waste. The rest are non-biodegradable waste, right? So option D is the correct answer for the question. Next, moving ahead, let us see the question number, sub question 3 under sub question 1. The heart sound dub. So here you need to be very careful. Okay, a slightly tricky question, but again this is also straightforward. We all know that when heart beats, the sound which we obtain is lub dub. So this is the second part of the sound, which is dub, that is produced when. Now if you carefully examine the options, there are 2 options which are very closer. Okay, so let's first have a look on these options. Option A suggests that the semilunar valves open. Is it that time then when we get that dub sound? Or option B, atrioventricular valve which is getting closed. Option C, it suggests that semilunar valves are closed, and option D tells that atrioventricular valves are open. So here when you carefully examine the dub sound, it usually comes when the semilunar valves they close. So option C will be the correct answer for the question. Okay, moving ahead. Next question, question number 4, which we have is deplasmolysis, a question that is coming from the topic of absorption by roots. Okay. Now here deplasmolysis occurs when a plasmolysed cell is kept in or placed in. Okay. The question is related to deplasmolysis. My dear students, you need to be very careful while looking at the question. The question is regarding the deplasmolysis, not plasmolysis. Okay. Already the cell is plasmolysed, and when we know that a cell is plasmolysed, it means that there is shrinkage of the protoplasm. And here, to reverse the process, that is to obtain the deplasmolysis, in which kind of solution the cell needs to be kept? Is it concentrated salt solution? Is it tap water? Is it concentrated sugar solution, or hypertonic salt solution? So little bit of application is needed, and then we will be getting the answer. Yes, and in fact we have a very straight away option which is very differentiating here, right? Here we all, when you look at option A, C and D, all these solutions are hypertonic solution, though you have got hypertonic in only option D, but option A and C are also hypertonic solution. But to obtain deplasmolysed state, that is the swelling of water, or at least the plasmolysis event should reverse to get deplasmolysis, we have to place it in option B, which is tap water. So option B is the correct answer for this question. Moving ahead, I hope this is very clear, because tap water is not having more solute concentration. It is not a hypertonic solution. Hence, if we keep it in a distilled water, if a plasmolysed cell is kept either in distilled water or in a tap water, then the deplasmolysis we can see. So hence option B will be the correct answer for the question. I hope this is very, very easy for you. Now moving ahead, a question from the endocrine system, alpha cells of pancreas. Again, a very common question that is usually asked, right? Also, we have discussed these kind of questions in our weekly test discussions. We have discussed it whenever we have conducted homeworks. A lot of students have asked us, so it has made it evident to tell that all the questions that we are going to solve and all the questions which we have in the paper, we have solved it at Extramarks live classes. Now moving ahead, and let us solve this question. The alpha cells of the pancreas secrete. We all know that there are certain secretions that are coming out from the pancreas. Pancreas is a heterocrine gland, right? Now it produces enzymes as well as it produces the hormone. Now the question is related to the enzymes here. Okay, in fact it is related to the hormone, because here the alpha cells, when we are speaking about, it is related to the hormone. So as hormones and enzymes are produced by pancreas, it is regarded as the heterocrine gland. Now out of the four options, option A glycogen, option B glucose, option C glucagon and option D insulin, there is a slight confusion between glucagon and insulin, because glycogen, of course this should not be the correct answer because it is the reserve food material, right? And then glucose, again this is incorrect, right? And now the option C and D, they are showing some interest, they are creating some interest. Now is it glucagon or insulin? Most of us, we read up and end up studying insulin, okay, but in fact insulin is being produced by the beta cells of the pancreas. So option D is also incorrect. The correct answer is option C, which is glucagon. So again, a very interesting question. Let's move ahead and see one more question that is coming from the reproductive system. Okay, haploid number of chromosomes are found in, which is the correct option, because here 4 different types of cells are given. Is it nephrons? In fact, nephrons are the filtration units that are formed inside the kidney, right? And then we have got neurons, which are present in the brain. These are the brain cells for the nerve cells, skin cells, or the sperm cell, which are the gametes. Now when you look at the 4 different options here the question is related to haploid number. Please everyone have to recall here, when you learn about the ploidy of the chromosomes, most of these cells, in fact the somatic cells, they are having diploid condition. Okay, so somatic cells usually are diploid in nature. That means there is this number, which is 46 chromosomes that are present in 23 pairs. But there is one cell which is a separate cell that is not a somatic, in fact it is a reproductive cell, in which we find half the number of the chromosome, that is the haploid number, and obviously the answer should be option D for this question. So sperms contain haploid number of chromosomes. I hope this is very easy again. Moving ahead, we have got another very easy, very commonly discussed question, right? Right from our lower classes we have been learning this question. Lifespan about one cell, which is RBC. And this is again a very straight away question. Multiple times we have discussed this concept of blood, right? So lifespan of red blood cell, is it 120 days, is it 220, 20 days or 2 weeks? And we all know that the lifespan is for 4 months, which in turn makes option A to be the correct answer. Again, a very direct question, right? Okay, now students, moving ahead. The statistical study of human population is called. Again, this is one of the questions that we have discussed in our mock test, right? A direct question which we had in our mock test, right? So here you have got options. Mortality, what is the statistical study known as which is related to the human population? Is it mortality? Obviously no, because mortality is something to deal with the death rate, right? It is demography, maybe an answer. Natality, no. Equality, no. Okay, that means option B will be the correct answer for this question, because this is again a very straight question from the chapter population, right? Moving ahead. So option B, demography, which is the study of the human population in a particular area, right? Moving ahead, let us see the next question. The pale yellow color of the human urine is due to which pigment? Option A, melanin. Option B, anthocyanin. Option C, urochrome, or option D, hemoglobin. Obviously, it will not be option D, hemoglobin, because we all know hemoglobin is present in RBC. So this is an incorrect option. Speaking about melanin, which is again present in skin cells, right? So this is again an incorrect. Is it anthocyanin or is it urochrome? With the word itself, we are able to find that there is a term called as uro, which is very much related to the urine, and in fact option C, urochrome, will be the correct answer, because this is the pigment that is found inside the urine, because of which that pale yellow color is seen. When urochrome rises, when a person is suffering some disease, or when a person is having certain types of medication, okay, like when a person is given even these supplements like multiminerals, then what will happen? The concentration of urochrome will increase, and when urochrome increases, it results in darkening of that yellow color. So from pale yellow to dark yellow color will be the coloration of the urine. The result is because of increased amount of urochrome. Hence option C, that is urochrome, is the answer. It is not anthocyanin also. Okay. Now moving ahead, let us see the sub question 10. The question is stimulation of nerves of sympathetic nervous system. Now this is a question coming from the nervous system chapter. Okay. Now we all have seen that the nervous system is divided into CNS and PNS, correct? Nervous system is divided into CNS and then we have PNS, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Under central nervous system we have got brain as well as spinal cord. Under this peripheral nervous system, we have these two subcategories, sympathetic nervous system and then parasympathetic nervous system, which actually are antagonistic to each other. There is one system which will make the functions or the actions of the person to become very active or hyperactive, and to cool down that, we have an antagonistic mechanism which is parasympathetic nervous system. Now here the question is related to sympathetic nervous system. Now when you look at the options, whenever a person is tensed, whenever a person is becoming afraid, curious, okay, or angry, we know that there are certain modifications that will take place, certain changes will happen or occur inside our body, isn't it? Now when you look at these four options, Which is that option that is generally experienced when a person is hyperactive? So is it option A, accelerates heartbeat? Maybe. Is it option B, it constricts the pupil of the eyes? This is incorrect. Is it increased peristalsis? Peristalsis is anything which is related to the digestive system. So obviously peristalsis will not be the correct answer, right? And then retards the heartbeat. So there are two options which are contradicting to each other, right? One is accelerating heartbeat, the other one is retard heartbeat. And we all know when a person is either in anger mode or when a person is very curious, afraid, in fact, in that situation we know that the heartbeat gets accelerated. And why is it so? It is because sympathetic nervous system will release chemicals which is norepinephrine. Okay, because of this there will be acceleration of the heartbeat. So hence option A will be the correct answer for this question. I hope this is again a very simple question. Moving ahead, solving the 11th question, the site of light reaction. Oh, now this is this question which we have discussed in all our open doubt sessions, in our doubt sessions, because this is a very trending question which is asked in most of the years. Either a question should come from dark reaction, and in most cases the question come from light reaction, because photosynthesis chapter is very important. And this is a question from the photosynthesis chapter, the site of light reaction. And let me tell you, this has been spoken multiple times in our live sessions also, as at different points wherein we have discussed the chapter of photosynthesis, we have came across light reaction. And again a very simple, very direct question wherein they are asking about the site of light reaction. We know that photosynthetic reactions, they are distributed in three events. One is the absorption of sunlight, right? Then we have got the conversion of light energy to chemical energy, that is by photolysis, and then we have got the reduction of carbon dioxide. We all know light reaction contains the first two events, and those reactions they actually take place in one of the part of the chloroplast. So is it stroma, is it granum, is it the outer membrane, or is it the inner membrane? So we have got four things here. Now when you look at it, nucleus, again the answer is no, because we haven't discussed about nucleus and the role of it in photosynthesis here, right? So obviously option is incorrect. Is it grana or is it stroma? Now these are the two things, suspected options what we have. Option C also we can very easily eliminate, because these are the two parts of chloroplast, right, in which the photosynthetic reactions are happening. Now coming to the light reaction, obviously the answer should be option B, grana, because grana contains the thylakoids, which are the sac-like structures. Onto the membrane of the thylakoid, we have the chlorophyll pigments which are present. So obviously light reactions, that is the trapping of the solar energy, will happen over to the thylakoids because chlorophyll molecules are present here. Hence option B should be the correct answer. Stroma is the site for dark reaction. So option D is incorrect. So the correct answer is grana of the chloroplast. Moving ahead, let us see one more question. 12th question, the paper used to demonstrate. Here there are different types of paper, and in which experiment it is being used? It is used to demonstrate the unequal transpiration in a dicot leaf. Okay, so which paper do we use here? Is it option A, filter paper? Option A is very incorrect, because we don't use filter paper for demonstrating transpiration. Then we have got litmus paper, maybe. A starch paper, no. Here we are not speaking about photosynthesis, so I can strike out easily C. Now, or is it cobalt chloride paper? Now we have got again a suspect between option B as well as option D. And now when you look at the chapter of transpiration, we have seen certain experiments that have been demonstrated to express the various aspects of the transpiration, right? And when we have saw the demonstration wherein when transpiration is taking place, when moisture is created because of the transpiration, there is change of one paper to pink color. right? And do you recall what is that paper? Because we have discussed it in our sessions also. So I hope everyone should be able to recall that there is one setup wherein there is a jar in which there is a paper that has been kept and that turns to pink color. Anybody who is able to recall? Very good, students. The correct answer is option D. It is cobalt chloride paper. It is not litmus paper. It is cobalt chloride paper, which in fact changes its color to pink, which is an indication for transpiration. So option D is the correct answer for this question. I hope this is very clear, very easy question. Now moving towards the 13th sub question here. Vitreous humor is present between. Now this is slightly confusing, but you have got 1 to 2 options which can be easily they can be removed out. Okay, by knocking out those 2 options we can easily attain at least 2 options in which we can have a guess. Okay, cornea and iris. Okay, let me just give you a clue. Vitreous humor is very much related to lens. Now if you are finding any options which is not having lens, you can first knock out that. Number 1 is cornea and iris because it doesn't have lens in it. Okay, and then we have got option B, lens and retina, option C, iris and lens. So lens is here, lens is here. In option D also we have cornea and lens, but this vitreous humor, this fluid in fact is present in between lens as well as retina. Okay, so this option B will be the correct answer. Iris and lens is incorrect because this is not the point in which this fluid is present, and cornea and lens is also incorrect. So option B, lens and retina, is the correct answer for the question. Moving ahead, let us discuss about sub question 14. Again, a question which is very interesting because you have 2 options which will trigger your neurons. Why? Because these 2 options are very close and we have learned more about one topic. That's why generally students will tend to answer and give that answer to be the correct one, but in fact it is not the correct one. So what is this we are speaking about? See, here first of all let us see the question. The question is asking us to know the oxygenated blood to liver is supplied by which particular blood vessel. Okay, is it hepatic artery? There is a question mark. Is it hepatic vein? The answer is no. Why? Because oxygenated blood and hepatic vein, they don't have any connection. Is it inferior vena cava? Very strong no. Why? Because again inferior vena cava will carry deoxygenated blood. Or is it option D, hepatic portal vein? Because again we have discussed a lot about hepatic portal vein. I remember many students, they used to ask to explain more about hepatic portal vein, right? What is its function, right? Where is it present? What is the problem if this is getting affected or infected, right? A lot of these kind of questions we have discussed in our sessions. Now doubt arises between hepatic artery, because artery is the one that carries blood, right? Hepatic portal vein is a special vein. Why we have discussed about this? It is because it is a special vein that also carries blood towards the liver. So both these blood vessels, they carry the blood towards the liver. Then which is the correct answer? Okay, the correct answer is option A, hepatic artery. Why? Because this is the blood vessel that in fact carry oxygenated blood, whereas hepatic portal vein, this also brings blood towards the liver, but the blood is deoxygenated and this is bringing it from the small intestine, right? Hence hepatic portal vein is an incorrect option. Option A, hepatic artery, is the correct answer because the question is related to oxygenated blood. I hope this question is solved, though slightly tricky because we are very much used to this word hepatic portal vein, but the correct answer is hepatic artery. Okay, now the 15th sub question, the last sub question of the question number 1. During the synthesis phase, which is nothing but the S phase of the cell cycle, more of which molecules is or are produced? Okay, Option A, it is telling that it is RNA which is synthesized. Option B, which is telling RNA as well as proteins are synthesized. Option C is telling us DNA is synthesized, and option D is telling us glucose is synthesized. We can very easily strike out option D because this is nothing something to deal with the cell cycle. Now, is it option A, B or C? Let me tell you, in cell cycle, the phase or the event in which more of RNA is produced, it is in fact prophase. Okay, and prophase, you all know that it is part of M phase, right? So that means I can strike out option A, and when I am speaking about synthesis phase or the S phase, this is a part of interphase, correct? And we all know that in interphase we have got G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. In S phase, what happens is the synthesis of DNA take place. So RNA and proteins, again they are getting formed in the prophase stage. Okay, so I can strike out option B also. Correct answer is DNA, because from cell cycle we have taken lot of sessions because few students, they wanted to explore more about the concept, and we have gone one step ahead also to see each and every step in details, which was though not required at that level, but yes, when we know all the concept to the fullest, it is very easy for us for knocking out the remaining options, right? So that has helped us to answer this question very easily. DNA, that is which is getting synthesized, present in option C. This is the correct answer for the question. Okay, this is option C, which is synthesized state. Okay, not the option D. Moving ahead, question number 2. Now let us come to the second question part, wherein we have the name the organelle that forms the aster during the cell division. Okay, so the answer for this is centrosome. And then we have got a genetic disorder in which the blood does not clot. It is this option, which is the answer is hemophilia, because the organelle that forms aster, centrosomes, are the ones which are formed from the centrioles. Okay, and they are very much important for the formation of the aster. Then we have got second question, a genetic disorder in which the blood does not clot due to the modification of certain in the arrangement of the amino acids, the blood clotting factors will not be formed. As a result of this, certain individuals, okay, in them the clotting will become a problem, and one of the disease which is a genetic disease, okay, that is hemophilia. So this is the answer for the question. Okay, moving ahead, we have got 3 more questions, because in each sub questions from now, that is in question number 2, we have got 5 questions, each for 1 mark, right? So for 2 questions we have got 2 marks. Moving towards the permanent stoppage of menstruation in the human females around the age of 45 years. We all have learned about the menstruation cycle, and there are 2 events which are very much related to this menstruation, the starting point and the ending point. Starting point usually at the age of at the age of puberty, okay, it starts. It is called as menarche. Okay, and the point which has been asked here is the ending point of the menstruation cycle, that is the menopause. Okay, the answer is menopause. Next, the openings of the bark of trees through which transpiration occurs. So what are those openings known as? Those openings are known as lenticels, because transpiration is of 3 types. One is through stomata, right? The second one is through lenticels, and even through openings, which are the fine openings seen in certain plants. Through that also sometimes transpiration can take place. Now here, when we are discussing about bark, the answer is lenticel, because these are the permanent openings through which transpiration occurs. Moving toward the last question, a gaseous plant hormone which promotes ripening of fruits. Now this is a question that has come from the chemical coordination in plants. So we have seen about the plant hormones, right? We have got 2 categories. One is plant promoter, the other one being the plant growth inhibitor. Now there is one hormone which is acting as a inhibitor, and that is the ethylene, and that is working as the gaseous, okay, it is working as a gaseous hormone. So the answer is ethylene for the question. Okay, the answer is ethylene. I hope this is very clear for everyone. Now, moving ahead, we have got question number 2. In that we have got sub question number 2. Okay, arrange and rewrite the terms in each group in correct order to be in a logical sequence beginning with the term that is underlined. Okay, so what we have to do is all the 5 sub parts or 5 sub questions. Among them, there is one word that have been underlined. So we have to make an arrangement using this as the first word. Okay, so that means the first word here should be cabbage. Okay, and now when you look at the food chain, the plant is eaten by a herbivore. So in this category, the herbivore is rabbit, right? And rabbit is eaten by a primary carnivore, okay, or a carnivore like a snake. After snake, we have hog. So this will be the correct sequence. Okay, this is the correct sequence which we can write it here. Next, second sub question. What we have is, you have to start this with the soil water. This has to start with the soil water. Okay, so what after soil water? After soil water, this particular soil water will be absorbed by the root hairs present in the root. Okay, it will be absorbed by the root hairs present in the root, and from the root hairs, the water will move to the cortex region. So cortical cells will be the next word, and finally it will be entering into the xylem tissue. From there, by the process of root pressure or by the process of transpiration, water will be getting uplifted. Okay, so that's the correct sequence. Coming to the next sub question, we have a receptor to be the first term. Okay, so after receptor, yes, after receptor, next. So if we speak about a particular reflex action, what can we find? From the receptor, the information will be provided to central nervous system, that is spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the information comes back through the effector, and then finally a response is given. So this is sub question 1, sub question 2, sub question 3. Now moving towards fourth sub question, let me take this and let us in fact write it down so that the sequence is more elaborate. We have got conjunctiva. Okay, conjunctiva to be the first part. This is related to the eye. Okay, so after conjunctiva, the next region is cornea, after which lens region is there, and at very behind we have got fovea, which is the blind spot in fact. Okay, so this is the correct sequence, and then finally we have the last sub question here, starting with testis, wherein the sperms are produced. From testis, the sperms will temporarily get stored in epididymis. From epididymis, these sperms will move through the sperm ducts. There are various sperm ducts that are present, and finally through urethra, the exit of these sperm will take place. So this is the correct sequence of all the 5 sub questions. Okay, now moving towards the next one, what we have is match the following. Okay, this is again a very important question because we will get very easily 5 marks. Very easily we'll have 5 marks over here. Now here on one hand, in column 1, we have the secretions of the hormone, whether the secretion is happening more or whether the secretion is happening less. Based on that, we need to identify the diseases that have been mentioned in the column 2. Again, very simple questions and simple diseases have been mentioned here. So let us try to relate them. Okay, first one among them is hyposecretion of thyroxine in adults? The first question is related to hyposecretion of thyroxine, and that too in adults, because this imbalance production of the hormones is even seen in the small children, but their diseases are different. So particularly they have mentioned about the age group also. Hyposecretion of thyroxine in adults. So here we have a very simple question wherein we have been given with the names of the hormone and how much of it is being produced. So here in the first one we have got hyposecretion of thyroxine in adult. So age group is also mentioned because the name of diseases will differ based on the age group also, right? So first question, hyposecretion of thyroxine in adults. Now this is something to deal with the production of thyroxine which is produced in less quantity, and when this is the case the answer should be myxedema. So the first one, that is A of column 1, will be the 2 of column 2. Okay. Next, hyposecretion of insulin, again a very easy question because we all of us know when insulin is not produced in sufficient quantity, what happens? It leads to diabetes mellitus. So this will be the answer for B, okay, the disease B here. Next, we have got the third one, that means which is C, hypersecretion of growth hormone in childhood. So it is again very specific with age. We all know that when growth hormones by the pituitary gland, if it is produced in excess quantity, a person or a child will attain more height, and that condition is called as gigantism. So this is the correct answer for the question. Okay, this is gigantism. Then we have got hypothyroid gland 2A, right, and then B is for diabetes mellitus. Next, coming to the D of column 1, hyposecretion of antidiuretic hormone. This is again very simple because we have been learning about both the types of diabetes. What is the difference between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus? The answer for diabetes mellitus already we have obtained, that it is due to hyposecretion of the insulin. When hyposecretion of antidiuretic hormone take place, then the kidneys get affected, which leads to the disease that is diabetes insipidus. So this is the answer for D of column 1. Lastly, we have got hypersecretion of thyroxine. Now, hypersecretion of thyroxine, we all know it leads to the disease which is exophthalmic goiter, wherein the eyes will appear to be protruding outwards, right? So large eyeballs will be seen in the patient who are suffering from exophthalmic goiter. That happens due to hypersecretion of the thyroxine. So in this way, very easily we can get 5 marks with the correct mix and match over here. Okay, I hope this is quite easy. Moving ahead, we have got another important segment in question 2, that is choose the odd one out from the following terms, and also we should name the category to which the others belong. Okay, to which others belong. Now here when we look at, we have got used bandage, pesticides, face mask, syringes. Out of these, if I take up pesticide, because this is one such material which is used as agricultural waste, whereas the other like used bandage, face mask and syringes, they are all medical waste. They are all medical waste. So the odd one is pesticide here, right? Next we have got dust, smoke, carbon monoxide and effluents. All these three things, in fact, they belong to air pollution. The odd one here is effluent because this is belonging to the category of water pollutant. So effluent is the odd one out here, whereas the rest 3, okay, if we have to tell, they are the air pollutants. Okay, so these are air pollutants. Let me write it here. Air pollutants. What about the next one? We have got sub question C in this. Uterus, urethra, urinary bladder and ureter. The answer is uterus because this is part of female reproductive system, whereas the other 3 system, urethra, urinary bladder and ureter, these are the parts of the excretory system. Excretory system. Hence, this is the correct answer. Moving ahead, the menstrual phase, telophase, follicular phase and luteal phase. We all know that telophase is the one that is related to the cell cycle, and particularly it is related to the this is one of the stages in the mitotic cycle, right? So it is related to mitosis. What about others? Menstrual phase, follicular phase and luteal phase. All these, okay, they belong to the reproductive system of the female. So they belong to the female reproductive system. Right, and also one of the major thing is they are related to the menstrual cycle. So because they are related to the female reproductive system, hence this is the odd word among the option. Then lastly, we have got 4 names here: Malleus, Incus, Cochlea and Stapes, which is related to ear. So Malleus, Incus and Stapes, these are the 3 parts of the membrane, a very important membrane present in the ear, and that membrane is present in the middle lobe, whereas cochlea is a part which is related to the inner membrane. This is related to the inner membrane. Malleus, Incus and Stapes, okay, or the stapes, this is the part of the middle ear. Hence, cochlea is the odd word out of the following. So I hope this is again pretty much very easy. Now moving ahead, let us solve this question. State the exact location. Now here the word is making us to think what should be the exact location of these respective structures. So for the first one, we have got thyroid gland. Okay, thyroid gland, we all know it is present in the neck region, but where exactly it is present in the neck region? It is present under the voice box. That is the exact location of thyroid gland. What about dura mater? We all know dura mater is one of the important membrane of the, or layer in fact, of the meninges, and this is the outermost layer of the meninges. Hence, it is present just below the cerebrum or the skull. So, undercranium is the correct term for telling the location of the dura mater. Moving ahead, amniotic fluid, again a concept related to the development of the fetus. Amniotic fluid is present in a sac which is called as amniotic sac. So that's the answer for this question. Fourth one, papillary muscles are very important muscles which are involved in the heartbeat. Okay, and where are these present? Inside heart. So we have to tell the exact location. Are they present in the atrium part or are they present in the ventricle part? So answer is ventricles of the heart. They are present in the ventricles of the heart, which helps in the movement of the blood and pumping of the heart. Alright. Islets of Langerhans, very important. Again, no, these are the group of cells which are present in pancreas, but where exactly in pancreas? These are present in the endocrine part, which will be producing insulin. So, endocrine part of pancreas is the correct location for islets of Langerhans. I hope all these 5 are very easy question, right? So, with this we can get maximum marks. So, first part, that is section A, is getting finished here. So, out of 80 marks, 40 marks were there for section A, for which we have discussed just now, and then in section B we have 6 questions, out of which we have to solve only 4 questions. Okay, so let us start our section B, which has the first part, which is question number 3, which is having sub questions. So the sub question number 1 in question 3 is write the overall chemical equation for photosynthesis. So what is the overall chemical equation for photosynthesis? Yes, you have got this as the answer, wherein 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, because we know that raw material for photosynthesis are water molecules and carbon dioxide molecule, and this carbon dioxide is getting reduced to form the glucose. Right. So 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 12 molecules of water, they are needed, along with the accessory components such as the chlorophyll, and the energy is coming from the sunlight. So with this, the glucose molecule is produced along with the liberation of oxygen gas and 6 molecules of water. So this is the complete equation for photosynthesis. The question is asked for 1 mark. So if you write this equation very easily, you would have got this 1 mark, because again multiple times we have discussed this equation also. Lot of questions could have been asked, okay, in n number of ways, but the beauty of the paper is a direct question has come, so that's why it has become very easy for you to get that 1 mark. Moving towards the next question, again a very simple question, because a lot of students, those who are there in lower classes also could have answered. The functions of blood. So you need to write two functions of blood, any two functions. Now you can make a list of functions of the blood, right? Among them, the major one is as it is a transporting fluid, circulatory fluid, obviously it helps in transportation of useful substances like nutrients, gases, all these things can be considered to be the answer. So transporting oxygen and nutrient to the lungs and other cells of the body is one of the function. Bringing the waste product to kidneys and liver for getting filtration, that is one more function of the blood. Third important one is to regulate the body temperature. So out of the three, if you write any two, okay, any two, you will be getting complete 2 marks for this particular question. Moving ahead, differentiate between karyokinesis and cytokinesis. Again a question from cell cycle. Again very easy question. Very easily you can differentiate between karyokinesis and cytokinesis. The word karyo refers to nucleus, the word cyto refers to the cytoplasm. So when you are able to make the differentiation, you will find that karyokinesis is the process of division of nucleus, wherein cytokinesis, because kinesis means division, okay, kinesis means division, wherein karyo refers to the nucleus and cyto is referring to the cytoplasm, where the cytoplasm is getting splitted and finally the cell is dividing. So the difference number one between these two, karyo and cytokinesis, is in terms of the meaning. Number two, here the nucleus will get divided into two daughter nuclei, okay, when karyokinesis is happening, one nucleus will split into two, whereas in cytokinesis, after the nucleus or karyokinesis has occurred, cytokinesis when it is taking place, it is the place wherein cytoplasm, cell organelles and the nuclei that have been divided, they will move apart, which results in formation of two equally appearing daughter cells, okay, two daughter cells will receive all these content. So this is one more difference. If you write this very easily, you are going to get 2 marks. Now moving ahead, excessive use of fertilizers in agricultural field reduces the yield of the crop. So you need to justify the statement. We all know what are the problems when we use excessive amount of the fertilizers, right? Fertilizers, we all know these are the chemical substances that are synthetically made, and when we use it in excess, lot of consequences we are able to see for the environment. So here excessive use of fertilizers in agriculture field, it reduces the yield because it degrades the quality of the soil by depleting minerals and killing the microorganisms and even the worms, which are very useful for the soil, because these microorganisms, they help in nitrogen fixation, okay, and the worms which are present, they are the ones which will be helpful in creating space. They are helpful in creating space between the soil particles so that air can easily flow. So all these useful organisms will get killed when excessive fertilizers, which are chemicals, that are used here. Okay, so if you justify the statement, you are going to get 2 more marks. Now moving ahead, fifth question, which is having sub questions under that, and this is a question based on an experiment. Okay, so here the diagram have been mentioned. Study the diagram given below and answer the questions that follow. So you have question A, B, C. So what do we have in question A? Name the phenomenon depicted by the shoot in the above diagram. So it is again very direct question. Again, a question from the chemical coordination in plants. We all have learned about various types of movements in plants, right? Again, one more question from the mock test which we have conducted in Extramarks, right? So here, the response of the plant is towards the sunlight, and we all know that the movement showcased here, it is called as the phototropism. Okay, it is called as phototropism. Then, which plant hormone plays an important role in the above movement? We all know that there is a very strong role of auxin in portraying phototropism, because auxins are those hormones which are usually produced at the tips of the plant parts. So, these hormones will be produced at the tip, and when sunlight is falling from one particular area, these molecules, what they will do is they will diffuse and they will move to a part which is away from the sunlight, and that leads to the bending movement also of the shoot. Like this, it will move if the sunlight is present in this side, okay, sunlight, so they will move towards this because cell elongation will take place at only one side. Okay, so for that the hormone responsible is auxin. Now moving ahead, complete and rewrite the given statement by filling in correct terms. Shoots show positive which type of movement, whereas roots show positive which type of movement. We all have learned about phototropism, hydrotropism, geotropism, right, and thigmotropism. Now here shoots, they always show positive phototropism, as we are able to see in this experiment. So here I can write it as phototropism, and roots show positive which type of, because it is root, as they are growing down towards the soil and towards the gravity. So I can write here as geotropism. So this will be the correct answer. So if you write these words, you are getting very easily 3 marks, right? So very easy question, very direct question. So that is these are the answers for the question. Now moving towards, okay, all the 3 terms we have seen here: phototropism, auxin, and positive phototropism by shoot, positive geotropism by the root parts. Moving to the next question. Expand and abbreviate DNA. Again, my dear students, a very simple question we have it here, right? DNA, hundreds of times we have discussed, and we all know what is the full form of this DNA. It is deoxyribonucleic acid. Very easy scoring question if you just remember the definition of, or not definition, the full form of the DNA, right? Moving ahead. What is active transport? Now this is a quite interesting question. Active transport and passive transport. These are 2 types of transport that we have seen in the absorption by roots chapter, right? Usually the molecules will enter inside the roots by these physical forces. Now when we have to define active transport, this is a transport which, for moving the material from one region to another, it requires energy, and even the movement is happening from a region of low concentration to a region of higher concentration. So if you have to define active transport, it is a transport in which the movement of molecules or ions, it take place through the semi-permeable region, membrane, through a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration, and for moving those molecules from lower to higher, it requires lot of energy. So in the form of ATP which is available, it uses ATP and it expends it, so that the molecules from lower to higher, they are getting shifted. Okay, so if you write this, you will be getting 2 marks for this. Moving ahead, mention the 2 pairs of nitrogenous bases which pair with each other, okay, with the help of hydrogen bonds. We all know that in the nucleic acids, particularly DNA if we speak about, okay, we have 4 important nitrogen bases. One is adenine, then we have got thymine, cytosine and guanine. Adenine and thymine, they pair with 2 hydrogen bond. Cytosine and guanine, they pair with 3 hydrogen bond. So this is the answer for the question, wherein the nitrogen bases containing ATCG, they are getting paired with in this particular fashion. Okay, again a very easy question to get 2 marks from it. If you write just this much, You can very easily get this. Okay, moving ahead. State Mendel's law of segregation. Very important question, expected question, because every year either from monohybrid cross or from dihybrid cross we expect a question to come from this heredity concept, right? So Mendel's law of segregation, it is the law that have been proposed from the monohybrid cross. So according to this law, it states that at the time of the gamete formation, when gametes are being produced, what happens is the alleles which are present in pair, they get separated. So two copies of each hereditary factors, they segregate, that means they get separated, so that one gamete will receive only one factor from the parent. So if there is one gamete that is present, it will have only one particular allele, okay, of the pair of the gene. Here also in ovum there is only one allele of the pair. So earlier, if that was a pair, like for an example, if there was XY chromosome in the male body at the time of gamete formation, they both will split. One sperm will receive only X chromosome and the other sperm will receive only Y chromosome. Similarly, in the ovum there is only one type of chromosome, which is X, hence there will be only X. So that is the law of segregation, because of which, because of the segregation of these gametes, again when the gametes fuse, we are getting the diploid condition as XY. Okay, so this is law of segregation from the heredity concept. Moving ahead, draw a neat label diagram of a human sperm. Again, very easy question to get 3 marks out of that. So we have to just label the diagram of the sperm and we have to label the parts. We have to draw it and label the parts. So here we have got this diagram of the sperm, in which we have got head part, which is responsible to carry the genetic material, right? And moving ahead, neck part is that part which contains centrioles, okay, which are very much involved in formation of the tail, okay, of the sperm. So that is the function. The next region is neck, and then middle piece, which contains a lot of mitochondria. It contains a lot of mitochondria, because these mitochondria, which are present in numerous number, they are needed to produce more energy. And why this more energy is needed? It is for the movement of the tail. So for that, more energy is being provided to the tail. And what is the function of tail? Tail help in the transportation or swimming of the sperm. Okay, so if you draw this diagram, mention these 4 parts, it is more than enough. Even if you are losing or skipping neck region, if you are just mentioning head, middle piece and tail, even that is more than enough for getting the full marks. I hope this is very clear. Okay, let's move ahead and see the next question. Explain the term population density. Now population density, again a question from the chapter of population. As the name itself is indicating, here it is something asking related to the density, and we all know density is nothing but something where the population is excess. So when we have to define what is population density, it is the number of people living per unit land area. The number of people, particularly human beings. In very exceptional cases, this term is used for even for other living organism, but generally when we speak about population density, it is in terms of the population of the human beings. Okay, so in a unit area, how many human beings are living? That is the population density. Now name the surgical methods of population control. There are various ways through which the population can be controlled. One is the contraceptive methods, which involves various things. Okay, barrier methods are there, contraceptive methods are there, oral medication methods are there, and among those methods which are used for controlling population, there is surgical method also. And surgical methods can be done in both male as well as in female, right? So those two methods includes vasectomy and tubectomy. Vasectomy refers to the blocking of the vas deferens, through which the male gametes or the sperms, they travel and enter into the urethra. So when this tube is blocked, it is called as vasectomy. So this is done in males. It is done in male. On the other hand, we have the second method, surgical method, and that is called as tubectomy, wherein the fallopian tube will be blocked here. As a tube is blocked, it is called as tubectomy. Okay, and fallopian tube, we all know it is present in the female reproductive system. So when this is blocked, the ovum cannot enter to the point where fertilization can happen. Okay, and this blocking of fallopian tube will prevent the fertilization event to take place. Hence, there are no other processes which are involved in the development of the embryo or fetus, because no fertilization is happening. Hence, these two methods, they are considered to be the surgical methods. I hope this is very clear, right? Moving ahead, mention the factors responsible for explosion, population explosion in India. Now, due to increased medical facility, our medical health facilities have been improvised, as a result of which we are able to experience that there are some differences in terms of mortality rate, okay, in terms of the mortality of the aged people. So there are so many factors for that. So reduced mortality rate is one of the reason for population explosion, and lack of awareness has increased the birth rate. So that is one more thing. Apart from this, reduced rate of the or in a way we can add one more point here if you want to add. Anyhow, these two are sufficient. If you want to add one more point, we can tell that there are more number of people who are there in the reproductive phase of their life. So because of its population which is in higher level, we are experiencing that the population is increasing at each day level. Okay, so this is one of the answer which we can write. There are though 4 to 5 different points that we can write. If you are writing any two, it is more than enough to get you the full marks. Now, name any two resources which come under pressure. So this is one of the question. Any two resources which come under pressure due to the rising population. So there are so many resources, natural resources we do have, which are getting impacted, because on one hand, when we are seeing that the population is increasing, obviously the requirement, the basic necessities that has to be provided to them, their requirement also will increase. And among various resources, various natural resources, if you have to speak about, there are two important natural resources. One is the land, okay, which contains different kinds of minerals, and the other one is water, which has potable water in it. So because of increase in population, various over exploitation of these two things, over exploitation of these two resources, one is land as well as water, wherein over exploitation of minerals is happening from the land, and potable water is also getting polluted. As a result of it, its concentration is very less, which is available for consuming. Hence, these are two examples. Along with that, there are so many reasons. Land is also used for growing crops, because crop requirement, its demand is high. So obviously, the land will be utilized for growing crops. Again, that is making this land as one of the resource which is under pressure, right? So like this, we can give any general answers for the particular question. Now, moving to the next question, question number 5, which is having the sub part. Fifth one. The diagram given below depicts climate change on the earth. Okay, this diagram is indicating the climate change. Using this diagram, we have to answer several questions. Okay, first question among them, name the climatic phenomenon for the increase in Earth's temperature. So what is that process? And this is a global concern which every day we speak about, right? Anybody who is able to answer this question? Yes, very easy question, because again we have discussed it multiple times. Anybody who is able to give the answer? Very correct, my dear students. The answer is very good. It is global warming. Okay. Then mention one reason for this warming. The reason is, one among the reason is deforestation. Because of deforestation, what happens? There is production of carbon dioxide is not utilized, and the concentration of carbon dioxide is increasing, okay, and that leads to a phenomenon known as greenhouse effect. So increased greenhouse effect, if it is occurring, it leads to the problem which is global warming, which is the answer for the first question. And why global warming? Due to more greenhouse effect. Why more greenhouse effect? Due to increased concentration of carbon dioxide. Why carbon dioxide concentration is increasing? It is because of the deforestation. Okay. What measures can be taken to prevent this climatic change? We can do afforestation. Then all those areas or sources from which greenhouse gases, particularly carbon dioxide, is produced in more quantity, they can be used. Okay, the usage can be reduced. The emission of carbon dioxide can be brought to a very minimum level. So when we do all these things, we can overcome from this problem. So you have got all these things. Global warming as the first answer, deforestation for second answer, planting trees, which is afforestation, and bringing public awareness regarding the global warming. Okay, so if you write these things, you will be getting the marks. I hope again it is a very easy question which we can expect, okay, in the board exam. Moving ahead, sixth question, which is having the first part, define the term transpiration. Directly a question that is coming from the chapter of transpiration, and everyone, I hope you would have answered this question because it is a straight away multiple time discussed question. What is transpiration? And it is very simple because it is present only in one line. Transpiration is a process wherein there is a loss of water in the form of water vapor through the stomata. So water is lost from the stomata in the form of water vapor. So if you write this much, you are getting 1 mark. Next question, state any 2 adaptations in plant to reduce transpiration. Again a subsequent question from the subsequent topic of the transpiration from the same chapter. Okay, plants have various adaptations to reduce the water loss. Number 1, it can have sunken stomata. Number 2, its leaves can get modified to thorns. That is also one of the reason. Okay, like this you can write 2 things. If you write 2, it is more than enough. So one among them is even thick cuticle. So when cuticle is thick, the evaporation rate will reduce. Then reduced leaf size. If leaf size is reduced, like it is becoming a thorn, obviously the transpiration rate will go down. Sunken stomata is one more modification in certain plants, right? So all these can be written as an answer for getting the 2 marks. Moving ahead, mention any 2 functions of human fetal placenta. Placenta plays a very, very important role. Why? Because at the time of development of the fetus, exchange of material is a very important event. The fetus needs to be provided with all the useful nutrients like glucose, oxygen and other nutrients. At the same time, in the body of the fetus, lot of waste product, metabolic waste are generated that needs to be removed out of the fetus. Okay, and for that purpose we have this very important tissue, very beautiful tissue known as placenta. So one of the function of the placenta is it helps in the transportation of nutrients from the mother to the fetus. Also exchange of gases between mother to the fetus. You can even add the elimination of the waste product from fetus to mother. That is also the feature of or the function of placenta. So if you write these 2 statements, you are getting 2 marks, right? Moving ahead, what is the significance of the human testis being located in the scrotal sac outside the abdomen? Again, when we have learned about the male reproductive system, we have discussed this topic also multiple times, and in lot of homeworks also we have asked this question, because in many board exams these kind of questions, repeated questions we have seen in this paper. Okay, so for that purpose we have to know it is making us to write the exam very, very easily. So what is the answer? Why human testes are present outside the abdomen? Obviously to it is making the efficient production of the sperm, that is to enhance the spermatogenesis at temperature which is -2, not it is not minus, it is 2.5 degree lesser than the body's temperature is needed. And we all know the temperature of our body is somewhere around 37 to 37.5. This temperature will not help the formation of the sperm. So a temperature somewhere around 34.5 degree Okay, 34.5 to 35 degrees Celsius. This is what needed for the formation of the sperm or for the process of spermatogenesis. And for this spermatogenesis to take place, the temperature which is needed is 2 to 2.5 degree lesser than the body temperature. Hence, this is the answer. That means testis is present in the scrotal sac outside the abdominal cavity to get this proper temperature. Okay, this is very simple again. Next, draw a neat label diagram of Malpighian capsule. So, very easily you can draw the diagram of Malpighian capsule wherein you will be able to showcase where is the Bowman's capsule. Okay, where is the Bowman's capsule? What is glomerulus? This is the bunch of capillaries which helps in ultrafiltration. You have a cup-shaped structure known as the Bowman's capsule, right? And also you are finding afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole will bring the blood towards the Malpighian corpuscle. Efferent arteriole is taking out the blood from the Malpighian corpuscle after the filtration, right? So, if this much we are representing, we are getting 3 marks. So, easy diagram, you need to just draw a cup shaped structure, show the glomerulus part, Bowman's capsule and these two different types of arteriole, and very easily you will be getting 3 marks. I hope everyone have done this diagram because we also had certain sessions wherein we have practiced the diagrams, right? You all have asked, sir, what are the easy ways for drawing, and in those sessions we have discussed about this. So, I hope those sessions definitely would have helped you to answer questions like this. Moving ahead, what is a reflex action? A question related to the spinal cord, right? And again, multiple times we have discussed the statement. There is one more topic related to it that we have discussed called as reflex arc. So, reflex action is basically an autonomous action that happens very instantly. Sudden involuntary response towards stimuli. For an example, if a person is touching an hot object like a hot pan, immediately we remove our hand. So, this immediate removal of the hand on touching the hot object is an example of reflex action, right? So, I hope everyone have written this definition of reflex action, and for this the part of central nervous system that is giving the instruction is spinal cord, isn't it? Moving ahead, renal cortex has dotted appearance and renal medulla has striped appearance. Why is it so? Again, very easy, one statement. If you give it to this particular question, you will get 2 marks. A renal cortex has dotted appearance due to the presence of the convoluted areas like PCT and DCT. Okay, so proximal convoluted tubule as well as distal convoluted tubule, these are present in the cortex region, DCT as well as PCT. Whereas in case of medulla, you will find that there are coiled nephrons. Okay, even the Henle's loop, all these things are present. There could be one more answer for this. The renal cortex contains even the Malpighian area or corpus, Malpighian corpuscle area that is present. Hence, it is appearing as dotted. And in the renal medulla, usually we have got the tubular part of the nephron. Hence, it is getting that particular striped appearance. That also can be written as an answer for this question. Okay. Next, what are the 2 functions of cerebellum? Okay, the 2 functions of cerebellum. Very easy question. Why? Because we have again discussed this multiple times. All those questions on which we have focused more, thinking that they have been asked multiple times in the previous years also, and they play a very important role in each chapter. So, considering the weightage, all these topics we have discussed, and to our luck we have got those questions because they are very easy question to answer. Again, this is a very direct question. The question is, what are the 2 functions of cerebellum? Cerebellum is a part of hindbrain, and this cerebellum does very important function. What is it? Number one is it helps to maintain the posture of the body. So if I am able to stand here very straightly, my body's posture is because of the functioning of cerebellum. Also, when I am writing it onto the screen, what you are able to say is there is precision in my hand, because of which my voluntary action which is writing has become very precise. Okay, if I want to write A, I am able to write A because this is due to the precision of this writing. This precision of voluntary action is again one of the function of cerebellum. So if you write these two functions, it is more than enough. Number one, to maintain the body posture, and to control and coordinate the muscular activities, particularly to bring the precision in those voluntary actions. So if you write these two things, more than enough to get 2 marks. Okay, moving ahead. Distinguish between semicircular canals and utriculus based on their function. Again, a question related to the ear, right? So we have got a very simple differentiation between them. Semicircular canals, they help in maintaining the equilibrium of the body, okay, when the head moves, whereas utriculus helps to maintain the body posture in the tilted orientation or position. Okay, so these two structures, semicircular canals and utriculus, both of them, they are different, though they are performing body balance function which is in common, but they are performing it in different conditions. One is in the vertical condition, the other one being in the tilted position. Okay, so this is the answer for the question. Moving ahead, we have got one question based on the diagram. A potted plant with a variegated leaves, means leaf with different colors. So this leaf or these leaves, this pot in fact was kept in dark for 24 hours. And then what has been done? It is placed in bright sunlight. Now based on this setup, based on the diagram, based on two different color, pale yellow and green color, which is present on the same leaf, we need to answer certain questions. Okay, what are those questions? Question number one is, which aspect of photosynthesis is being tested in the above diagram? Means, what is the experiment all about? Why this is conducted? Answer is to show the importance of chlorophyll. Okay, to show the importance of chlorophyll, this setup and this experiment is there, and the diagrams have been designed based on that particular aspect of photosynthesis. We all know chlorophyll plays a very important role for photosynthesis. Without chlorophyll, no trapping of the sunlight will happen and no photosynthesis can take place, right? So that is the answer for the first question. Second, question B, why was the plant kept in dark for 24 hours? The plant was kept in dark. Anybody who is able to give the answer? Because again, this statement we have been using continuously, right? So anybody who is able to give the answer? Yes, very true. Destarching. Yes, we are making the plant to use the starch that is available in the plant. Okay, and then when it is again kept in the bright sunlight, again it leads to photosynthesis, right? So for destarching, we are keeping it into dark. Next, after the starch test, what will be the color of the yellow and the green part? So two distinct parts we are able to find. So when you do the starch test, when you add iodine solution over it, what will be the color that you will observe in these two areas? Okay, now here we know that in the region where green parts are there and in the region where yellow parts are there, we find different colors, right? So what are those colors? Green areas will turn blue-black. Okay, this will turn blue-black because it contains chlorophyll. Chlorophyll helps in production of starch. When starch is there, it turns into blue-black color. But yellow area remain unchanged because they do not contain chlorophyll and no starch will be over there, right? So these are the answer for that particular question, which will get you 3 marks very easily, right? Moving ahead. Define the term. Okay, this is the last question, and let me again remind you we are discussing all the questions which have been mentioned in the section B, but you had to attempt only 4 out of the 6. So this is the last question. Those who have attempted this last question, this section will be helping you to understand the answers. Very easy question that has been asked, that is related to mutation. Direct question for 1 mark, define the term mutation. Mutation is defined as the change in the nucleotide sequence. Okay, when nucleotides present in the DNA, when they change, okay, it leads to formation of some new protein, and if this change in nucleotide results in the formation of new protein, that new protein will have some other functions which we were not expecting to be happening normally, right? It will perform some other functions. So there will be some change in the feature or the function because of mutation, and there are various reasons for mutation. Exposure of UV for more time, long term exposure, that leads to mutation. If certain carcinogenic chemicals are consumed in the form of food additives, we get it, okay, unknowingly people will have consume it. When those carcinogenic materials, they enter into the body, they show their effect by changing or modifying the DNA sequence, hence that also leads to mutation. Okay, so this is a very simple question, and for that we have a simple answer. Now second sub question of question 8, a pure breeding red flower variety of pea plant, which they have mentioned as capital R and capital R. Can someone tell what is the purpose of writing those capital R's? Oh, very good, student. It means they are telling that this is a dominant trait, right? So a cross is done between a red flower variety with a pure breeding white variety, which it has been expressed in small r, that indicates this is recessive. So this cross is done. Now after doing the cross, we need to draw a Punnett square to find out the phenotypic and genotypic ratios of progeny belonging to F2 generation. Okay, so if we write this capital R, small r in F1 progeny, all the progenies will be having this combination, capital R and small r. Now the question is related to F2 generation. So here we have to draw a Punnett square board, okay, or a checkerboard, and we have to mention the gametes over here. So one capital R, one small r, one capital R, one small r. So when we do such a combination, you will find capital R and capital R, one capital R, small r, capital R, small r, small r and small r. So when you are looking at this, you are finding phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio. There the phenotypic ratio will be 3:1, wherein 3 are red, one plant is having white flowers. 3 of them are having red flowers, one of it is having the white flower. And genotypic is, one is homozygotically red, 2 are heterozygotically red, and 1 is homozygotically dwarf. So this is the genotypic ratio, and the above one is the phenotypic ratio. So we have to draw this Punnett checkerboard and you have to write the ratios so that you will be getting the complete marks out of it. Now third question, leaves of certain plants, they roll up on a hot sunny day or a brighter day. They roll up. Explain by giving suitable examples, okay, or suitable reasons, not examples, suitable reasons. Basically, it is to prevent the loss of water, to reduce the transpiration. This rolling up of leaf is done, okay. So certain plant, they roll up on a hot sunny day to prevent excessive loss of water from the stomata, that is to reduce the transpiration. And this is because certain plant, they have made it as their own adaptations. Okay, this is one of the adaptation that is exhibited by the plant, so that there is less water loss on a bright sunny day. So this is the answer for the question that have been asked. Moving ahead, what is a semi-permeable membrane? Again a very simple, very direct question. I want you guys to answer this question again quickly, guys. What is a semi-permeable membrane? You have got two parts here. This is one part, name the semi-permeable membrane in a plant cell. So for each sub-part you will be getting 1 mark each. Totally it is for 2 marks. Yes, very good. Semi-permeable membrane are those membrane which are allowing only selected or certain molecules to pass by, whereas other molecules they are not allowing to move. Okay. So that is semi-permeable membrane, which is usually made up of phospholipid bilayer. Okay, it is a biological membrane present in the cells of organism, allowing certain molecules to pass by, right? And in a plant cell, which is that semi-permeable membrane, it is the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Also, it can even be the nuclear membrane. Both of them are the examples of semi-permeable membrane, right? So, if you write this much, you will be getting 2 marks for it. Now, lastly, we have a question again based on the diagram. The question is, the diagram below depicts the human heart in one of its phase. Answer the question that follows. Now, just carefully examine the structure of the heart. Here, they have represented arrow mark. Okay. So, these arrow marks, they are indicating, they are indicating the movement of the blood. Also, you will be able to see that the valves in them, okay, you have got this bicuspid valve which is closed, you have got tricuspid valve, which is closed here. This is tricuspid, which is closed. Whereas those valves that are regulating the opening of the arteries, they are open. Aorta is open and then pulmonary arteries is open. So, a very beautiful representation for the question has been given. Based on this question, there have been certain questions that have been asked. Question number 1. What is the question number 1? Which part of the heart is in contraction phase? You have got atrium, you have got ventricles. So, very easily we can say that this is the ventricular part which is in contraction phase, because that is pumping the heart outside, pumping the blood outside the heart. And what is the reason, on what basis you are telling this, sir? If that is the question, we are able to see here that these valves are open, which are allowing the blood to move outside the heart. So, give a suitable reason to justify your answer in A. This is the answer. The valves in the arteries have opened and the direction of the blood flow is towards those arteries, which means when the ventricles contract, the blood will rush out from the heart. Okay, so that is the answer for the question. Distinguish between systole and diastole. Now, this is a question which is related to the cardiac cycle. Okay, cardiac cycle, wherein systole refers to the it is related to diastole is related to the relaxation and this is related to the contraction. Diastole is relaxation of the chambers. So, when you look at the answer, systole and diastole are two important phases of the cardiac cycle. Systole occurs when the heart contracts, okay, when there is contraction of the blood. When there is contraction of the heart chambers, it is referred to as systole, and when diastole we are referring, it means the heart is in relaxed stage after the contraction. Okay. So, I hope all these questions were very easy even to discuss as well as to write within the stipulated time. I hope everybody would have attended all the questions, right. So, my dear students, thank you for joining the session and I hope all of you will be getting full marks from the paper because the question paper was very easy. Let me again remind you, at Extramarks, the classes which we have conducted, the homeworks which we have given to the students, also the weekly test and the mock test just before the examination which we had 2 days back, many questions have come from that segment. In fact, all the questions which we have discussed, you will find either in homework or in the weekly test or in the mock test. So, with great practice which you have done, we all here expect that you will be coming up with very good colors, okay, so that your career is becoming more brighter. So, thank you for joining the session. Take care of yourself and keep learning. Bye-bye.